So well, participant friends, we had a discussion on infancy, means relating to infancy. We discussed so much well, particularly at the time of explaining about infancy. We also explained so much well about the various stages of development. Well friends, today we are to discuss about the psychophysical specialities or characteristics of the stage of infancy, which basically begins just after the birth of a child and it continues up to 5-6 years of growth and development. Infancy is such a stage, you see friends, which starts at 0, means after birth, and it continues till 5 years and sometimes 5 and 6 years. And here today we are to discuss about psychophysical characteristics of this specific stage of growth and development. And by saying as psychophysical characteristics, we mean about the psychological specialities as well as the physiological specialities of all children in this stage, particularly in the stage of infancy. Let us start. Each of the stages of growth and development about which we have mentioned, such as infancy, childhood, adolescence and adulthood in general way, spatial characteristics and significance, means the stage of infancy has spatial significance and spatial characteristics. The stage of childhood has spatial importance and spatial characteristics and spatialities, and adolescence has also some specific spatialities or characteristics, and adulthood also spatial characteristics and spatialities. And this way, in each of the stages of growth and development, we notice specific or spatial characteristics and significance from the standpoint of psychology or from the standpoint of the mental level of each of the child as well as the physiological parameter of each of the child. As the human being has two main aspects, that is the physical or physiological as well as the mental or the psychic or the psychological, the growth and development may be seen and realized. Friends, basically in human personality we notice two specific areas. One is psychological or mental or psychic, as well as the another is physical or physiological. And in these two specific aspects, all development take place, and some of the development which basically take place in physiological parameter or aspect we can see, and the development which developments which take place in psychological or psychic or mental level we can realize, we never can see. Let us see the next slide. Physical development or physiological development may be explained as the external development, means the outward development, means the development in the physiology which we can see from different angles. And here basically just to help you to understand how we can see the physiological or physical development, here this diagram will help you much. Means it is physiological developments are external development, and external developments can be seen. It means that the physiological development can be seen. Suppose this is first stage, one stage, this is second stage, crawling stage, this is the stage when the child is sleeping, and then this is the stage when the child turns back, turns over, and this is the stage stage when the child starts to crawl, and this is the stage when the child starts to sit, and this is the stage when the child starts to stand, and this is the stage when the child, you see, begins or starts to walk. So this way, friends, all these stages can well be seen, and these, you see, these developments are because of the changes in the physiological parameter, particularly in external parameter, which can be well noticed from different angles. Let us see the next slide. On the other hand, the mental or psychological or psychic development may be explained as the internal or inner development of the human personality, which can instead of, you see, which can instead of observing, we can realize, we can understand. Suppose this is the stage when the child is not able to speak anything else, and these are physiological development, and here in this stage the child has become able to communicate his intellectual capabilities, his or her feelings, his or her aspirations, his or her imaginations, etc., etc., which basically take place in the psychic or the mental parameter, and which is to be well realized instead of trying to observe or trying to notice. Let us see the next slide. The specialities or the spatial characteristics of growth and development of the total dimensions means the psychological, means the physiological or external, and internal means the psychological or psychic of child's personality or children's personality may be discussed as first one. Today we will not be able to discuss all these specialities. Simply about two specialities we are to explain today. On thenceforth we are to discuss about the other characteristics of infancy or specialities in later stage. First speciality is rapid or quick physical growth. This is one of the most significant parameter which takes place in external feature of the child's personality or of the children's personality. Means this is physiological growth, and the growth process of physiological parameter is very much rapid, is very much dynamic, is very much, you see, quick during the stage of infancy. Here from this stage, this way, this is the last stage of life. So friends, rapid, quick physical development is one of the most important specialties or characteristics of infancy. Let us see what it is. Let us see the next. It is said that the average American baby, we are mentioning about America, or we can mention about India or other countries, because to some extent, country to country, because of environmental conditions, you see, to some extent we notice differences in physiological and mental development. But here it is explained by the psychologists that the average American baby born today measures at birth, this is physical, about 20 to 21 inches. During the time of birth, the length of the child is from 20 to 21 inches, 50 to 52.5 centimeters. It means either 20 to 20 inches after birth, or it is 50 to 52.5 centimeters in length. And what is the weight, or you see weight, from 7 to 7.5 pounds. That is 3.2 to 3.4 kilograms at the time of birth. But sometimes we see immature, you see, birth also takes place sometimes, and this weight and length differ in such cases. As an average, the length of every American children after birth is 20 to 21 inches or 50 to 52.5 centimeters, and the weight is either 7 to 7.5 pounds or 3.2 to 3.4 kilograms. boys as a rule are slightly longer when compared with the girls and heavier than girls. This is another specification. There are greater variations in weight than in length for both boys and girls when we try to understand the physical characteristics of the infant or of the child during the stage of infancy. Let us see the next slide. Some premature babies, means premature babies born earlier because of many physiological conditions of the mother. Some premature babies weigh only 3 or 4 pounds, that is 1.4 to 1.8 kilograms. Means we do not see when there is premature birth, then there may be the weight is from 1.4 to 1.8 kilograms when we consider from the point of view of physiological transformation or physical transformation. Other babies born normally may weigh 12 to 14 pound, 5.4 to 6.4 kilograms. The baby's body is top heavy, top side is heavy, and that's why the child remains sleeping. The head of a baby is about 1/4 of the whole body. Length is shorter because the upper side of the body is very heavy, whole body length. An adult's head is 1/7 of the body length. This is the explanation these are the explanations concerning to the specification of physiological transformation during the stage of infancy. And if it is asked in examination about the weight or about the length, you are to mention all these things. Let us see the next slide. Physical dependence is another most important parameter, one of the most important characteristics which we basically notice during the stage of infancy. During the stage of early infancy and later infancy you have had already, that is up to 2 to 3 years of age, the child is unable to fulfill his her own needs. He or she is to depend on others, either on his or her mother or parents or family members or other people. The child is physically helpless during the first part of infancy because the child remains sleeping, never can utter any word, neither can utter nor can you see stand up. Nothing this child can do, and that's why he or she is quite helpless during this stage, and he or she is to depend on either on the mother or the father or the parents or the family members or other people who specially takes care of the child. As a result, circumstances compel the child to depend on others, and this is dependency special characteristics, especially on the mother and the very close associate for his her own care and for the satisfaction of his or her own needs. The child is to satisfy his or her own needs depending on others because of physiological inability as well as psychological inability, because of the first stage, the slow growth of physical parameter and mental capabilities during the stage of infancy. So friends, today these 2 points have been placed before you for your consideration, so that you can so much well understand the specialities during the stage of infancy and other areas concerning to mental development, then after social development, linguistic development. All those will be discussed in brief, because in a class not all the specialities never can be discussed so much well. Here 2 two specific you see points have been placed, and these two points have been thoroughly elaborated so that your perception concerning to these two, particularly physical dependence and rapid physical growth, your perception become much clear. Thank you so much for today. The other specialties or characteristics will be discussed in the coming classes. Thank you so much.